Oh, that was creepy. There was a plane reflection right then. As I looked up, I was like, oh God. Flashback. That morning was a beautiful morning. Up until that point, beautiful, still summer morning. Sun was out. I don't know how many, not barely a cloud in the sky, but I was a few blocks away when the plane hit. I called my wife, and I just said, "Hey, I just heard a loud explosion." I looked up. There's a hearing that the plane hit the North Tower of the Trade Center. Turn on the news. I'm okay, just letting you know I'm okay, and I'll talk to you later. And hung up with her. The second plane hit, and it was at that point where everybody knew it wasn't an accident. I roll up behind 7 World Trade Center, which is right across the street from the North Tower. I saw live human beings jumping tragically to their death. And you kind of just shake it off because you feel like it's a dream at first. And then you're like, all right, let me try to help. I saw my friend Dennis, who's a colleague and a friend of mine on the job. We set up a basic triage in the loading dock. We had 1 walking wounded coming in. We were preparing that more wounded people would be coming there that we could try to help. And we heard that there was more supplies, medical supplies, on the higher levels of 7 World Trade. Went up to the 44th floor of 7 World Trade, and there was a gymnasium there run by another agency. We first get there, the gym's kind of wide open, but you can look into the North Tower. And we were probably, I think it was like 15 or 20 floors below where the first plane had hit on the north side of the North Tower. And you just sat there and you're like, you wanted to stare at it forever, like, because you thought it was like a movie, right? So you're like, is this real? Is this not real? But it obviously was real. So got our wits about us, gathered more supplies. My friend Dennis was at the window staring one last time, kind of at the terror hit. And I hit the button on the elevator, and an explosion kind of happened as I try to explain it. The explosion was the South Tower collapsing, and my friend Dennis witnessed it come down, watched the whole thing crumble to the ground as our building shook, the power went out, and Dennis said, "Let's go, Donnie, we gotta go." And he never told me what happened, and we evacuated down the staircase with a bunch of medical supplies that we could carry. We got down to 44 floors or so, hit smoke about the 10th floor, and kept holding our breath every level. This whole time I'm like praying to God, like, God, can I make a deal with you to get home to my wife, and my pregnant wife and my daughter, and I promise to be a good human, kind of thing. We reached the 2nd floor lobby area, which was totally engulfed in smoke and I believe some fire, but we couldn't find our way out, and we finally saw a flashlight beaming through the smoke and someone yelling, anyone else here, to something to that effect. We followed them out, we split up from there. The loading dock was to our right. Me, I'm thinking, we got all these medical supplies, we're gonna set up triage again, or set up the triage, and we're gonna help all these people that are coming and walking in. And I did not know the South Tower collapsed. I did know that there was a sense of quiet outside. There was that smoke, the remains of that smoke from the collapse. There was paper flying in the air. All the streets were covered with that dust of a couple inches thick or so that you had to run through, kind of like snow, but it was dust. My colleague is like, "This way, Donnie." We got out, rolled the stuff out. I rolled it to this up the street and handed off the medical equipment to the first responders that we saw in the area. The furthest thing from my mind through all this so far was I never thought those towers would have fallen down to the ground and crumbled the way they did, that everybody knows about nowadays. And I often question myself and wonder if I had known, would I have done anything at all, or would I have just tried to get to safety and not help anybody. But I learned quickly that the North Tower was coming down by hearing those warning calls from people saying it's going to fall. But when you start hearing the sound of it collapsing and coming down, and it became an instant reality that you knew what was happening, that it was an undistinguishable sound coming down, as you can probably imagine. I thought the building was falling like this. And so when I ran away, I felt like it was a cartoon in there, like not running fast enough. So I ran into a wall of people and climbed over the railing of that parallels the Hudson River. I didn't want to get crushed to death by all the people that were running away from the collapse. So I jumped over the railing. I was going to jump into the river if need be, but I didn't have to. I just held on, and everything started just kind of slowing down a little bit, and you kind of heard the last rumbles and shakes of the ground as it was collapsing. So you kind of knew it was over, I guess. Kind of just shook off the enormity of it all and just said, okay, and now what, When Pastor Barry approached me about talking about the 20th anniversary of 9/11, I was reluctant to talk, because I don't try to draw attention to myself too much. What I don't want to have lost here is that there was, 2,977 souls that were lost through the attacks of 9/11. And there was thousands more military personnel that were killed fighting the war on terrorism. And there was hundreds and I believe thousands more that died from sicknesses and suicides throughout all these tragedies because of this terror attack. I had it easy that day on 9/11. Others certainly had it way worse than I did. So this video isn't about me. This is about helping others live through and gain the perseverance to survive and get through life with those tragic experiences. Having the faith in God to keep moving forward and to use those terrible experiences in a positive manner. And even when you reach that next terrible situation, keeping your faith in God to help you get through it, trust in that and faith in that. Take it and run through your life with it and influence others with it. Being in God's grip amongst that evil that occurred, that became a reality and a mantra that I lived by through the next 20 years at least. I knew evil was real. I felt evil. I saw evil. I lived through evil. And God was there during all of it, helping me get through it and helping me be stronger than the evil.